It's the worst epidemic I've ever seen. I've been involved in law enforcement since the 1970s, and it's so pervasive. It's in every part of Ohio. You know, we used to think of drug epidemics centering on cities. Not true at all. The drug dealers are going where the money is, and that's the suburbs, and they're also in the rural areas.
And what's the lure? I mean, in other words, why are so many people doing this? Because heroin is a scary drug.
It's a scary drug. I don't really know. What I can tell you is when I was a county prosecuting attorney in the 1970s, heroin was something that most people who were doing drugs wouldn't touch.
Yeah, okay.
I would talk to them, and you know, relatively small county, you got to know people, and you got to even know the drug dealers because we would arrest them. And you talk to them and say, hey, what do you do? And they'd, you know, list a whole bunch of crazy stuff that they were doing. But I'd say, what about heroin? Hey, I'm not crazy, DeWine. I don't. That's what's crazy people.
Yeah, even the drug dealers are saying, I don't want to touch that.
I don't want to touch that. I won't do it. I wouldn't put that in my needle in my
You've also
arm.
said, Mike, that you cannot arrest your way out of this problem. What do you mean? And what should you do?
Well, you know, the drug cartels are doing a great job in marketing this. But I think most people in law enforcement today understand and tell me, and I totally agree with them, we can't arrest our way out of the problem. That we want to do what we do in law enforcement. We think in Ohio we do a pretty good job. Attorney General, we try to help local law enforcement. But really, we need to focus a lot more on prevention, and we need to focus on treatment.
So here's one of the things that stunned me. Jenna Morrison, who we just saw, got addicted to heroin, but she says her addiction started with pain pills, opiates, that she was legally prescribed by a doctor. In how many cases are people that are hooked on heroin first prescribed opiates?
Yeah, I would say about 3/4. We don't really know the numbers.
Yes.
And you know, we have made a major effort in Ohio. When Governor Kasich and I took office, we made a major effort to deal with that part of the opiate problem, the pain meds. We've taken the licenses of over 50 doctors in Ohio. So we've made some real progress in that area. And the goal is going to be to slow that down so that then they don't end up with heroin. And by the way, either one, they can kill you.
Yeah,
and they do kill people.
I just thought, and Jenna's mother is a nurse and says in Bill Whitaker's piece, you know, we didn't prescribe this many pain pills when 20 years ago, that has changed, and we've got to look at that. I thought that was a real warning sign for parents.
I have seen it with my own family and grandkids where they go in for, wisdom tooth or something, and a whole bunch of pain meds are prescribed, and, you know, the idea is not to take any if you can avoid it.
Mike, 750 million pain pills were prescribed by doctors in Ohio alone. That's 65 pills for every man, woman, and child. That seems like a huge problem.
You know, I think the one mom last night made a point, a very, very good point, that the pendulum was too far the other way, where, you know, we weren't really treating as a society, treating people's pain. It flipped clear over here. We've got to bring it back to here.
Yeah, but where was the outrage? People say, where was the outrage when it was a street drug, when it was only limited to a poor community or minority community? Now people are outraged and say we have to do something about it. What do you say? Do you think that was true? And what do you say about that, Mike?
You're absolutely correct. In the 60s and 70s, when I was a prosecutor, we looked at society said those are just those people over there. They don't. They didn't think they could be us, whatever us was.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. It was somebody else in another city, and it couldn't be you. Now, this epidemic cuts across every kind of line, geographical, but also by income. So, anyone who's watching this or who watched last night's 60-minute piece, which I thought was a great piece, it's going to do a lot of good. And anybody watching that, it could be your child, it could be your grandchild, it could be in your community. And if you don't think you have a heroin problem, you're probably wrong.
23 people die of an overdose every week in Ohio.
And that's probably a low figure. We think it's probably higher than that, actually.
Thank you.
And all the families that are shattered on top of that.
Thank you.